Hey everybody, right now we're going to take a fairly deep dive into all of the functionality that you have in the dashboard tab. This is the tool's main interface, and this is where you're going to be doing all of your drafting. So the first thing that you need to know is on a Windows-based PC, when a player is selected, you find his name in either of the listings or really anywhere that you can find it. You press Control and W, and he is going to be pulled into the selection of drafted players. It's going to pull him out of all of these other listings. So let's pay attention. Antonio Brown is currently there. He is currently here, and he is currently here. We press Control W. Antonio Brown is now selected. In this table up here, it's going to show you the upcoming 20 picks, and it's going to show you for each team which picks they have. And right now you can see the Browns are up in 8 picks. So that's pretty straightforward. We come over here. This is using an intersection of ADP and some other information to project in the next 5 picks how many players at each position will be taken, next 10, next 15, next 20. So it's calculating in an average league in the next 20 picks, 8 running backs will be taken, 11 wide receivers, 3 tight ends. Again, you put your drafted players into this column. If you're using a Mac, it is going to be Command-Option-W. Windows-based PC, it's going to be Control-W. Though they work exactly the same, with the exception of 2 keystrokes for selecting players, I think that things are a little bit cleaner in the Excel Windows version than they are in the Mac version. And it's just kind of my personal preference. I think it's a touch quicker. I think the interface looks a little bit nicer. And that just might be because for work I'm always using a PC. So anyways, you have this available players table. What this does is it shows you for these different groupings, which you can toggle in this drop down. It's going to show you ranked on tier, which you're going to want to make sure that you're going in the player info tab, sorting selected ADP smallest to largest, sorting tiers smallest to largest, and then it's going to show you in this table based upon tiers, sorting by tiers, and then ADP, your specific players that are available in the league at a specific position. And if you were to have incorporated your metrics over here, they will show. So your default's normally going to be metric 1, metric 2, metric 3, and you'll see that those have now changed in the dashboard, and you could put whatever you wanted in there, and that information will populate for those players. So just to show you, Julio Jones, if we did X, D, F, and we come over, now Julio Jones is showing XDF. Get rid of that information. So that's the available players table. This tier breakdown is really cool. What it shows you is a count at each position of the number of players that are left in a specific tier, as well as the starters that are left. So what this column is doing, it's saying that there are a total of 24 running back starter slots, 2 for each team in this specific league. 1 running back has been taken, so there's 23 slots left. If half the teams in the league had taken both of their 2 starting running backs, it would show you that there are 12 starters left. So it's kind of doing that math to say, hey, these are the amount of starting spots on team rosters that are left. So that's really useful to keep in mind as the draft is going down. And again, it's counting the number of players in each tier across the positions. This team position breakdown is showing you the number of players at each for each team that have been selected. So this is really cool. If you're at the turn of the draft, and let's just put in some picks. Again, that's just Control W. And then actually let's pretend that we're team 11 to put some context on this. So team 11 is going to be the Browns. Nope, not the Browns. So team 11 is the Raiders, right? So let's say that you're the Raiders and you're up you're going to see that the teams that are going to be between you are the Chargers. Who do the Chargers have at this point? Well, they don't have anybody, so it wouldn't make sense in the first round. But you could say maybe if you're later on, you'd realize that, they have 4 running backs and no wide receivers. And you're going to then anticipate, well, they're probably going to take some wide receivers. So you could use that into your evaluation process. You can also see a total of the number of players that have been taken each position. You can jump to the draft grid very easily. It's just going to give you a different view of how things are going down. Jump back to the dashboard. This team overview is going to show you for each team the players that they've selected. It's going to give you projected starters. It's going to show you their tiers. Down here, it's going to give you an idea of the average for the team that you selected versus the average for the league at different positions. Obviously, that will make more sense as the draft moves along. We have this panic picks table that's going to use your tiers and ADP information to give you reasonable selections that you could make if you found yourself caught off guard, which really, if you're using the draft dashboard correctly, you shouldn't be. But, let's say you had to leave the room for some reason, you get back, you have 10 seconds left. You just look at here, you find a name that you like, and all of these guys represent reasonable selections. So you might say, all right, I wanted to go with a running back at this point in the draft, and then you just see Adrian Peterson, select him. Don't get flustered. It's going to be fine. That's a reasonable pick. ADP of available. You can use this to very quickly identify players that have been selected. What this is doing is it's just sorting based upon guys that haven't been drafted. And ADP giving you a listing of those players. So you could use this to very quickly put guys in. So Adrian Peterson gets taken. The next pick is Mike Evans. Select Mike Evans. Press Control W. There he goes. AJ Green. Select him. Makes things nice and easy. What this column is doing is it's comparing the difference between the current pick and in the ADP source that you're using where a player is normally selected. So you can see that in this ADP, Allen Robinson has normally been selected 3 picks prior to the current. So that's saying at that point in time, he might be kind of a value. Devontae Freeman has a 0 because it's pick 14 and he normally is the 14th player off the board. These graphs over here just give you a visual representation of the amount of players for each position left in each tier. So this is kind of a graph of this table. And then the scarcity analysis, this is pretty cool. So what we have in here is a couple of algorithms. The first is going to look at the starters, the number of stars that are left in the highest tier at that particular position. So right now it's saying that there's 2 tight ends in the highest tier, right? And there is 1 wide receiver in the highest wide receiver tier, 1 running back in the highest wide receiver tier, 2 quarterbacks in the highest quarterback tier. So it's saying that wide receiver is the most scarce because once it has done that, it's then going to say, all right, it's between running back and wide receiver. They each have 1 left. However, there's still 29 starters, 19 running backs. Wide receiver is the most scarce. 2 tight ends, 2 quarterbacks, so those are the small. So that one's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. I know I'm going through this quickly, so if you have any questions, shoot me an email. Starters versus weighted tiers is looking at the number of starters that are left and comparing that to the quality of players across each tier. So it's saying that wide receiver, there's the most starters left, but we have the lowest margin of players in those high quality tiers. So it's, again, just a comparison that weights the number of starters left with the quality of players in the remaining tiers. And then the needs column is going to look at a weighted tiers analysis of the quality of players left in particular positions and compare that with the positions that you've already taken on your specific team. So if we put in some picks quickly, get these teams filled up a little bit more, you can see that the Broncos here, right? And this is changing as the picks go along, and it's specific to each team. It's evaluating the quality of players left, and it's looking at who they have on their roster. So they have 1 running back, only 1 wide receiver at this point in time as the draft is moving along. It thinks that the pick that would make sense would be the wide receiver. These are really just guidelines. You don't need to follow them, but they're just make you consider, based upon positional scarcity in the construction of a specific team, who you might want to consider. So if we come over to the Chargers, you'll see that the Chargers are projecting different needs. They haven't taken a running back left, so it's kind of pointing towards a running back. These will get more meaningful as the draft moves along, and that's just really a quick summary of everything that's going on. So to real quickly take you through everything one more time, the team that you have selected in this team overview is going to be highlighted up here. It's showing you the number of picks that each team is away, and it's saying in 20 picks the Bengals are up. Drafted players are here. Current pick is displayed. In this cell, you have your available players that you can toggle by position. It's going to sort it on tier. You go to flex, you'll get running backs, wide receivers, tight ends. Your tier breakdown is going to show you the number of starters remaining based on the construction of the teams in the league and the number of players left at each position in each tier. You have your panic picks, you have your scarcity analysis, you have a comparison of the team that is selected with this drop down, their average players in their tiers versus the average in the league. I'll indicate also that these are only factoring in a team's starters. ADP available. Again, you have your visual representations of this tab, and then you have this projection of, in the next X amount of picks, how many players will be taken at each position. So if you watch the mock draft videos, you'll see that there's a lot of different ways you can put this information together, add a lot of context to your draft, and make really good decisions. So I'd recommend watching one of those videos to really pull things together, and appreciate you watching.